Hey guys, welcome. I'm Kathryn, and this is Little Bits of Heaven Homestead. Welcome to my channel. If you guys are new here, please do like, subscribe, and if you feel so inclined, please share this. So today's topic is something near and dear to my heart. It's prepping with babies. So my friend Julie from Dirt Patch Heaven is actually the inspiration for this video. She called this morning and she says, Kathryn, in all our years doing videos together, this is something you talked about a lot. And this is a message you need to share because this is your experience and it's real to you. And there's moms out there right now, new moms specifically. This message is for you guys. But anybody who may be expecting a baby, have a loved one in their life with a baby, a grandparent to a baby, I hope that I'm giving you some tangible, useful information here. I'm going to go about this on a two-layered approach. So I'm going to talk about it in the absence of resources like we're currently experiencing. And then I'm also going to talk about it in the thought that we're going to go back to an abundance of resources. So I suppose that you are finding this video because you are finding yourself a little shell-shocked with our current situation. Life is a little topsy-turvy, to say the least. We are finding ourselves, at least for the next 2 weeks to 30 days, having to find kind of a new normal, a new normalcy. You guys are most likely homebound to some degree, and I'm going to give you some projects, and I hope that gives you some busy work. I think new moms, not that you're not busy enough, but doing something productive with your hands and your mind is probably going to be a good thing. So I hope that I give you some peace and some security here across the board. So my story. I'm a longtime prepper. I am a mom of 3. I currently have 2 adult children who are on their own doing wonderful things in their lives. I am so proud of them. I have a spread in between my 2 older girls and my youngest, and so I do have a child at home. My child at home really made me rethink prepping because I was a prepper long before her, but she pointed out some holes in our prep specifically when we first brought her home. So her story is she was born 9.5 weeks early. She was this 3-pound little teeny tiny peanut, and I had to be airlifted to, because I live in a small rural community, I was airlifted to the biggest city in our state, and she was there for approximately 8.5 weeks. So, which meant that I was essentially gone from my house for 8.5 weeks, and stress level was through the roof. There was no normalcy. All my best laid plans were thrown, just out the window. And I think that's the way with life is we have this plan in mind and we think things are going to go a certain way. And that's why it's also important to have contingency plans, a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D. And as a prepper, that came very natural. But when you encounter life and your preps and your plans are put to the test, oftentimes you find that you need to step back and reevaluate. So we brought her home. She was I think she was just over 6 pounds at the point we brought her home. And we encountered our coldest night I have ever experienced in my entire life. And I've lived in this community pretty much my entire life. But we dropped down to 25 below with wind chill. I'm rural, I'm on a well. It froze our pipes solid for 5 days. So I thought I was prepared. I had initially intended on breastfeeding. The 8 weeks in the hospital, I pumped and pumped and pumped and pumped. Nothing came. It was definitely stress related. That's something to keep in mind, even if you are in milk and you are breastfeeding. Stress is brutal and it can and will dry you up. So have a contingency plan. Put some formula on your shelf. I thought I was good there. We had bottles. Have bottles on hand, even if you're breastfeeding, because it's good to have a backup plan just in case. Just in case, guys. That's what prepping's all about, is the peace of mind just in case. So we had our bottles. We had our formula. What we didn't have was water. Oh my goodness, water is so critical. And I don't have it with me right now, and I'm surprised that I don't because I try to feature it in every one of my prepping videos, but store water. I cannot stress that enough. Even if it's just a handful of bottles, what I would recommend is not milk jugs because the plastic does degrade. You can't properly sanitize them. It'll hold on to the fats and proteins. It just gets embedded in the plastic and it will contaminate your stored water with bacteria, and the plastic, like I said, it'll degrade. So you'll go to pick up your milk jug 6 months later and you'll have a spot on your floor where your water had leaked out months before and you were unaware. So my preferred storage method is the 3-liter clear plastic soda bottles. They're great multi-purpose. You can use them out in the sun to sanitize them if you have concerns about the cleanliness of your water. You can stick them under beds easily. You can store them in closets. That's just my favorite go-to as far as water storage. So water, you can't survive without it. And I can't stress that enough. So, and that's something you could probably, in the absence of being able to go to the store and buy water, you may have friends or family members that are soda drinkers that would gladly donate to you because it's really a trash to treasure kind of situation. You can repurpose it. That's recycling at its finest. That speaks to my heart on so many levels. So talking about formula, currently I know that there is a shortage of supplies on shelves, and that's scary. So if you have formula on hand, I want to tell you, don't dilute it. Do not dilute it. We may all be tempted to be cutting back on our resources and to be limiting how much we feed not only ourselves but our loved ones. I can tell you that that will slowly starve your baby to death, and that is not doing any good for anybody. You're going to have a cranky baby. You're going to have a sick baby. That's the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish here. So if you are running low on your formula supplies, please call the 1-800 number that is located on whatever formula of choice. Get in contact with somebody there. Hopefully they can help you out. Please do not go to the internet and use DIY resources. Now is not the time to experiment with your baby's health. Please, God, don't give your baby any sort of anything with essential oils, anything like that. If I were in your situation and looking at how am I going to feed my baby in the absence of resources, make friends with your local homesteaders and or farmers. Cow milk, I believe, is too harsh for a newborn baby's stomach. Goat milk would be my preference. Do not feed raw. I'm a huge advocate and proponent for raw milk in general. I have goats in my backyard. I would definitely feed my baby, if I were in that situation, goat milk. But your baby doesn't have the antibodies on board. You're talking about a very delicate immune system. So pasteurize. In any normal situation, I wouldn't normally recommend that because I'm all gung-ho on raw, like I said. But for your baby, that's important. Pasteurize. So I'm going to give you what I've found as far as instructions that I would be comfortable with. But what I'm also going to recommend you do, and homework, get a notebook. Get a notebook, get a notebook. Write down your daily usage, what your needs are, realistically, and then you can make a plan for what you need to have on hand for in the future and going forward. I also want you to print out things like pasteurization instructions and put them in your notebook. I'm going to talk about other things here in just a minute that I'd like you to print out and put in your notebook. So this is good to have on hand because in an emergency situation, when you're panicky, when you're stressed, when you're most likely sleep deprived as a new mom in general, but then stress is added to that, you need some help, you need some clarity, you need some peace. A guideline already written down will help you with that. So get a notebook, that's step number one. So we've talked about water, we've talked about food. So pasteurization, to go to that. What I understand as far as safety is, I really hesitate to give instructions because I am not the end-all be-all resource. So please, if you've got some time and this is a topic that you're concerned about, do further research. But from the instructions that I've read, and I don't normally pasteurize my own milk, but get a double boiler, so meaning some sort of bowl or jar where you put it into a pot of boiling or hot water. You want to bring your milk up to 165 degrees for approximately 15 seconds. And then take whatever vessel it is that you have your milk in and chill it as fast as possible. That's going to preserve the taste and flavor for one. But my recommended way to do that would to be put it into an ice bath. And then you can pop it into the refrigerator, and then you would feed as normal like you would formula or any other milk that you would be removing from your refrigerator. Okay, guys, so I made some notes because I don't want to steer you wrong. So in my personal situation, which is very different than this scenario that we're talking about currently, but we lost our heat because although we have propane heat, it is radiant floor heat, so when we lose power, we also lose the pump that pushes the water through the floor. And so at the time, we didn't have any backup systems. It made me really reevaluate my walk as a prepper. Like, am I doing things to the best of my ability? I found holes in my system. And that's something that I think any type of crisis, be it personal, local, or national, or in this situation, global, it really makes you take a look at your system and want to do better going forward. So I hope that this video in general provides you an opportunity to do better going forward too. And so I'm sharing with you some of what I noticed, even though it may not apply to this particular scenario. So I had an 8-week-old itty bitty baby, no heat. We did have food for the time being. We didn't have water to wash bottles. And because it was cold, I was putting her in multiple outfits throughout the night so that she had layers. So we would do like a little onesie, a thicker sleeper, and then one of those big fuzzy sleeper things. I don't have any of those on hand to show you, but new moms, you know what I'm talking about. Like you would put your kid in to go out into the winter. So not necessarily like a big jacket, but they have those big fuzzy things with the little fuzzy hoods. Do put a little hat on your head, on the baby's head, because that'll help retain a lot of heat. If you can find those little mittens that keep them from clawing their face, that'll help keep their little fingers warm. Put socks on before you start the layering. And then you can also do an added layer of socks towards the end before you put the big fuzzy on, depending on how many layers, how cold it is, how bundled up. Sleep with your baby. So I know that all conventional wisdom, and I'm probably preaching to the choir here because I bet a lot of you co-sleep anyway, but whether it's recommended or not, body heat, shared body heat, that'll keep your baby warm. You may not necessarily need all those layers on your baby if you are sleeping with your baby, but that's one way that you can help keep your baby from getting too cold. Okay, so where am I at? Diapers. Guys, there's been a run on resources. So I personally, when my baby was little, I went with cloth diapers. Julie and I had this conversation. She and I went 2 totally different routes. So I had financial resources. She stated that she did cloth diapers because she was poor. As I did cloth diapers more on an environmental level, I'm kind of crunchy. I did it as I'm going to help the environment type thing. It also catered to the prepper in me too, so it was this double-sided blessing. I don't have any with me because my child's 9, but I bought those really fancy schmancy ones that have the snaps that are a one-size-fits-all, where they do the inserts, and I paid like $18 a diaper. And at the time, my philosophy was that it was going to last a year or 2, so it was a good investment. Right now, I don't even know if they're out there and available. Maybe you can find some that are hand-me-downs from friends. I found them a really nice resource to have on hand in the absence of an emergency, but definitely would be handy to have in an emergency. But if you do not have the resources financially or the ability to go out and buy those for whatever reason, you can make your own. So flannel, I've got baby blankets, grandma sheets. These are literally my grandma sheets. So, and I love them. They're sentimental for some weird reason, but in an emergency, I would definitely cut these up. And not only can you make baby diapers, and that's something that I want to task you with, go online right now and find patterns. Whether you plan on doing this right now or not, there may come a day where you wish that you had patterns for this kind of stuff. So print it, put it in your notebook. So I want you to print patterns for not only making diapers, but feminine pads. Because ladies, if you are just postpartum, you're bleeding, and you're bleeding for a while. And if you're unable to find menstrual hygiene products on the shelf, don't fret. You can make your own, and you can use the same material. I also, in my last video on practical prepping, talking about alternatives for toilet paper, talked about making the family cloth using the same fabric. So if you still have availability, this is something that has not had a run at your local big box store, go in their sewing department and buy several yards of cotton flannel. So get several different patterns, and that way you can, if you are interested in making family cloth, essentially it looks like a napkin that's double-sided. You want to use several different patterns, different colors, and that way you have one designated for each family member. But this is a handy resource to have on hand in your preps, whether you plan on making these things right now or not. So that gives you some options there. Okay, now laundry. This also was something that I didn't expect. So if you're using cloth diapers and you are putting your baby in lots of outfits to keep them warm, you're gonna have more laundry. And depending on the situation, like right now we've got all of our municipalities, our water's flowing, our electricity's working, that's good. So at least we're not facing some catastrophic zombie apocalypse type scenario. But depending on the scenario you are trying to prepare for, because I like to have all of my bases covered. Laundry is one of them. Sanitation, that's important. So this is something that I picked up and had on hand almost just for novelty. It gave me some peace of mind. It's cute. I have it in my bathroom as a decoration. I've actually had to put this into use, guys. So not necessarily for that scenario, because we had power when my baby was, when we lost our water, and it really made me reevaluate. But we had electricity. And then I took my laundry into my mom's to wash because they did have running water. But this I used when our washer died. It was a humbling experience. I decided to do laundry by hand for a month. Gave me a real appreciation for modern appliances, but I would suggest just pick one up because you never know, and it's nice to have on hand. Another alternative to that is a plunger. Designate it just for laundry usage, and get a 5-gallon bucket, cut a hole in the top of the bucket, just big enough for your plunger. So you put this inside and you'll use this to agitate your laundry. Be warned that wringing laundry by hand is no fun, but you do what you gotta do. And next topic, as far as prepping for a baby and things you wanna have on hand, especially with the current situation and us being concerned about upper respiratory, talk to your doctor about what medications they would recommend to have on hand. So, and there again, make sure you rotate it. And I'm not sure if I said that in reference to formula, especially if you're not breastfeeding, or if you're not, if you are breastfeeding but not feeding formula, make sure that you rotate your supplies because you don't want it to go bad. So, but medically, you want one of those little nose suckers. I'm assuming that most, if not all, new parents have one of those, but that's one of those scenarios that your baby wakes up in the middle of the night and is unable to breathe. Those are a godsend. Have one, have two, have 3 of them, stash them around the house because you can never find them when you need them, and they're inexpensive. So good resource to have on hand. Some sort of fever reducer, that's also important. And then an accurate way to gauge temperature. So I know right now there is a run on resources, and thermometers are specifically hard to find. So when resources come back in abundance, make sure that you've got something you trust, because not all thermometers are reliable. Okay guys, I hope this was comprehensive. I hope it was helpful. I hope this gives you some peace of mind. So like I said earlier, if this is of value to you, please share with those who you may think it may also bring some peace. And I thank you guys for joining me. I'll be doing other practical prepping videos here in the future. I am a homesteader by nature, so you'll see things like goats and chickens and gardening and all sorts of random stuff. I am a back to basics DIY lover, so I do things like make my own soap. So I hope that you join me on future adventures, and I appreciate you joining me today. Take care, guys.